and welcome to today's video where we shall be talking about the Chevening Scholarship. We will cover everything you need to know about how you can win a Chevening Scholarship. We will also look at the application tips. We will also look at what work experience is necessary for the Chevening Scholarship. We will also cover how to go about their interview and your essays as well as reference letters. So stick to the end of this video. Well, a Chevening Scholarship is a UK government fully funded scholarship to study a full-time 1-year master's degree program in the UK. In this video, we will talk about everything you need to know about making an application. And as I've mentioned, you don't need much or any professional work experience. We'll cover that towards the end. Last year, 1,800 scholarships were awarded to students all over the world. And they also removed the English language requirement like IELTS or TOEFL due to COVID-19. So you need to be sure if that is still in order or you need to have an English requirement test. Well, it's open to any country. The Chevening Scholarship is open to any country and there is no country restriction. The last day to apply will be the same for all countries. As I've mentioned, let's delve deeper into what the Chevening Scholarship includes. The first thing, they will cover your accommodation. They will cover your tuition fees. They will cover your airfare tickets. They will cover your books, your stipend, your visa costs. That means each and everything will be covered. So you don't need to worry because you don't need to spend a single penny. However, what you need to work on spending is most of the time. You need to give this application most of your time, do proper research, and I will guide you through the whole process. So, what tips do you need to know when you're applying for the Chevening Scholarship? The first one is to check your grammar. Make sure your sentences actually make sense, right? Double check the spelling of words and institution names. Use I instead of we discussing when you're outlining or discussing your personal achievements. Also, don't use bullet points to outline job responsibilities or future plans in your answers. I mean, the panel would like to know as much about your goals as possible. So write in full sentences and share your stories with them. Let them connect to your story. The assessors also know when answers are copied and pasted to your CV. So make sure your CV, personal statement, and reference letter are made from your own experience. That is, it should be tailor-made, not something that you've copied and pasted to create a CV or those two documents. Make your application to be deemed outstanding and make sure you clearly link your chosen course of study to your previous experiences and future vision. That means what you've studied and what you're applying for is linked to your previous experience and it is actually going to connect with the vision you have for your future. All Chevening applicants need to demonstrate leadership, influencing, and relation building skills. So those are the three key skills you should possess, right? You also need to have a clear understanding of how studying with the UK in university will help you achieve your career goals. Pro tip for all of you, please apply in more than 3 university, at least even sometimes go up to 6 universities to secure admission. This is because you actually don't need to have an application form or you actually don't need to have secured admission in any of the universities mentioned in your application form and has admission in the fourth university. That means if in case you get admission in the fourth university in your list, then you can still secure your scholarship. If you have been called for an interview, then in the interview is when you let them know that actually you only earned admission in the fourth university in which you have an admission letter for, right? So note, for university application, you don't need to have an admission letter, as I've said, to apply for the Chevening at this point. Okay, give preference to universities in your application which you feel is the brightest chance of getting admission. That is, when you're looking at the unis to select, make sure you give preference to the one you feel you have a brighter chance to get admission to. But you can change the preference later at the interview stage. The selection process takes roughly a year And that would comprise of an application, which is the first step, an interview, which follows closely, conditional offer, then the final award. And also, you're meant to also have pre-departure briefing stages. I won't lie, this process will demand exceptional mental and emotional strength, but don't let that deter you from changing your life and earning this life-changing opportunity. Here are some tips also from someone who's earned a Chevening scholarship before. Work experience is most questions that come to us is work experience necessary for the Chevening scholarship? And from people who are already in the scholarship program, they've given us feedback that the types of work experience that are eligible for the scholarship would include full-time employment, part-time in case you are working part-time, if you've taken volunteer programs, in case you are taking a paid or unpaid internship, or even freelancing. So that means you can always go ahead and provide or provide backup and show that you are actually freelancing or you are taking a paid or unpaid internship. You do not need to really meet the work experience requirement in one period of application or employment. So what you can do, you can submit up to 10 different employment periods in order to meet the requirement. If you've held more than 10 positions, then please enter the periods which you took or you worked a greater number of hours. Okay, that means for Chevening scholarships, they are looking at 2 years work experience minimum, and that's about 2,800 hours, correct? Then, how can you perform well in an interview for a Chevening scholarship? At the interview, you will have about 1 hour to convince the panel that you're actually worthy to earn the scholarship. And here are some general things that you should keep in mind. If you're shortlisted to interview for a Chevening scholarship, you'll be invited to attend the interview within the city or town where the British Embassy or High Commission has a representation. Yes, so remember to always book a morning slot. Why? You would ask, why do I book a morning slot? Well, when you get selected, the morning slot is the best because of course, it's normal that when people or the panel, it's in the evening and they've already interviewed so many people, they're already exhausted, and you can imagine. So if you go for a morning slot, you're better placed because your teachers, judges, and interviewers are much more alert and they are kinder. And when they're tired, they're more harsh. So you don't want to get interviewed by a harsh team or panelists there. Wow. So the other thing you need to focus on, be very consistent with your essays. What does that really mean? And when you're putting down the essays, we'll mention about the essays shortly. The panel will spend a major part of the interview asking about further details to clarify the things you've mentioned in your essay. So this is something you need to know even before you go for that interview. You should know your essay inside out. Not to mean that they will ask you the same exact questions or they will ask you to say out loud your essay before them. Not really. You should really go deep into what you wrote and dissect not only your experience but also your logic and motivation. That should be very clear, like how and why you do certain things or you did certain things, your passions, your goals, and what actually drives you. The panel won't, as I've said, they won't necessarily ask you to repeat what you've written, but they will want to delve further into the details to actually understand your true motivation. Well, it's important to be consistent with your essay, especially when you talk about your passion and motivation, because that paints an impression of self assurance and authenticity. Well, examples of interview questions you can expect would be, why do I want to study in the UK? Why am I interested in Chevening? Why did I choose my course of study? Why do I consider myself a leader, or why do you consider yourself a leader? What are your short term and long term professional goals, especially linking it to what the UK is doing in your own country? How will your country benefit from my experience or from your experience and expertise in future? And then, of course, essay questions. There are a total of about 4 essays that you would write. And normally, I say that an essay should comprise a minimum of 500 or even just 600 words at minimum. The first essay is about networking skills, and you should be able to mention your networking and personal relation skills as well at the national level as well as international levels. You should be able to talk about how you deal with people in variety of professions, including government and international representatives. You should also be able to mention if you have been familiar with different cultures, age groups, or even socioeconomic classes. The networking skills essay should also provide a description of how long you've been involved in long term relationships. And you need to elaborate on your communication skills as well. The second essay will talk about your leadership qualities and how you need to bring out really well. Elaborate on the scenarios in which you play the leadership roles. Okay, so you need to also bring out how you manage teams in the different projects you've worked on. You know, if you've led community projects as well on a fixed budget, you need to bring out that part clearly. You need to also show or consider opinion, how you consider the opinion of members within your team. You know, you need to show how you've been able to work with different personalities and led to successful projects. That is quite it about the leadership essay. So that's the second essay. The third essay is you need to talk about your future career plans. And here, you need to mention clearly what career plans that you have and how you're going to support your community and country. Your goals should be very smart enough and even realistic enough, right? And you should remember to include a social, academic, and professional approach. Don't lean too much on the professional approach or academic approach and forget about the social approach. So make sure you balance between those three when you're talking or mentioning about your future career plan. That is your social, academic, and professional approach. You must also be able to show that you have skills within volunteering and even show work experience clearly here at your when you're doing your future career essay. Right. So the fourth essay to be able to apply for a Chevening scholarship would be why? Why do you want to pursue your studies in the UK? This is the most, okay, not most important because I mean all the rest are also important, but here is where you need to clearly have done a good research on why the UK for you. You know, because the desire to study in the UK varies from one person to another, but your reason should be very valid and appropriate. Okay, so you need to show details such as for a 1 year master's. You know, the UK has good merit for a 1 year master's, and also the UK holds the world best leading universities. So that could be your reason. You need to bring it out really well. In academics, the UK is one of the top countries. That could also be your reason. Bring it out quite clearly. Also, mention your interests within cross cultural understanding. What in the UK stands out for you? Also, be able to show that you've done proper international research, that your studies in the UK, how they will impact and contribute to your community. Now, the last thing that you need to work on quite clearly and precisely is a reference letter. A reference letter should be able to show the places you've worked in before to cover the time that you are working, the time period that you are working. And you must submit two letters of reference. A referee must know the applicant either professionally or in academics. So the person referring you is supposed to know about you professionally or maybe in class, maybe an academic reference. So in this case, we recommend you to come up with two work reference letters and one academic uh, reference letter, right? So the academic reference letter is from your school, any course you've taken somewhere, and someone can be your referee, talk to them about it. Work references, I believe this one is much easier to even get within the period you've been working. Then the letters, key, very key to note here. The reference letters should actually be verified by the British Council once the candidate gets shortlisted. So this one will happen later on in the later stage, that your letters need to get verified by the British Council once you get shortlisted. Well, I believe if you follow all the tips that I've mentioned here, you can easily stand out in your application. So you can search, you can do more research. Well, you can also reach out in case you have trouble coming up with your essays, in case you have trouble even knowing how to go about getting reference letters. But that's it for today's video. Make sure you get to share this video with as many people as you can. I know this video took much more time, but it is important for us all to capture all the details you need to know before applying for a Chevening Scholarship. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. As I've said, make sure you subscribe in case you need, not in case, but well, for future videos when I'll talk about more education opportunities or even my travel stories. Thank you for the questions, and I look forward to engaging with you more and more in your education journey or your career journey to have you succeed in life. Bye bye.